Hello and welcome to this episode of Boomer Life Support. I'm your host, Coach Ken. Today we're going to talk about living at altitude. This can be a real problem for a lot of people who are used to living at sea level and suddenly find that their destination is in a high elevation city like Cuenca, Ecuador, for example. And today what I want to do is talk about some of the things you need to consider when making that choice of moving to high altitude. First, we should define what high altitude is. Generally speaking, this is an altitude above 8,000 feet or about 2,500 meters. The most common symptoms of altitude sickness that people experience when they first come to this type of altitude is usually headache and, of course, breathlessness. And one of the greatest misconceptions about being at high altitude is a lot of people say, well, there's no air up there. Well, in fact, the percentage of oxygen at 8,000 feet or at sea level is 21% of the atmosphere. It's exactly the same. What is different is the air pressure, the partial pressure of the atmosphere. And that is what makes, at sea level, breathing much easier. There's more pressure pushing oxygen molecules across the lung membranes and into the bloodstream. So that's the big difference. It's not that there's less oxygen. The other thing that a lot of people confuse with the actual mechanism of breathing is what makes us breathe harder anyway, whether we're at altitude or whether we're starting to exercise. And most people would say that it is the lack of oxygen which causes them to speed up their respiration, when in fact it's actually the accumulation or the buildup of carbon dioxide, the waste gas. We have receptors in our body that monitor the levels of CO2, and when they get to a certain point, heart rate and respiration go up correspondingly. So for most people, when they are coming up for a long-term stay or maybe relocating to high altitude, usually within a week or so, the initial symptoms of headaches and extreme breathlessness start to diminish. But this usually takes at least a week or so. The other thing that happens is that your resting heart rate will tend to start going up a little bit, and so will your respiration rate. This is just how your body tries to make up for that lack of pressure that's pushing the oxygen across. So the big takeaway from this video, and the thing you really need to be cognizant of, are pre-existing conditions that you may have. If you've got any form of heart disease, respiratory disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, it's strongly recommended that you consult with your healthcare professional regarding your personal situation and tell them what you're intending to do if you're planning to move to a high altitude. If you are interested in this topic and would like more information, I've written an article that's posted in Gringo Tree, and you can see the link below for living at high altitude. I want to thank you for watching, and as always, be well, be fit.